Hi guys, today we're going to be taking a look at the Bulova Lunar Pilot 50th Anniversary Edition. We're going to look at the history, specifications, features, my feelings about the watch and the pros and cons. So taking a look at the history guys, the original version of this would have been worn by Commander Dave Scott, who was the commander of Apollo 15, and he would have worn the original watch on his third moonwalk. On the second moonwalk, the Omega Speedmaster that he was wearing, the acrylic crystal popped off and was never seen again. So fortunately, he had taken two of these along with him, just in case, completely unofficially, by the way. So that particular mission got in trouble for a few things worth looking into. Do your own bit of research on that, but there's a nice bit of history behind this watch. So let's have a look at the case width. So this is 43.5 millimeters. There is a 45 millimeter version, which is slightly earlier, but this is the later 43.5 millimeter one. Thickness 13.5 millimeters. Lug to lug is 52 millimeters, and between lugs is 20 mil, giving you a nice strap option there. Stainless steel 316L. It's got sapphire crystal, lovely box crystal there, as you can see, just protruding, quite a unique design, really like that. It comes with a leather style NATO strap as well as this one, and it has 50 meters of water resistance. Now it weighs 175 grams, but the main thing about this watch, I think anyway, especially for this price point, which is about 600 British pounds, is it's got a fabulous quartz movement. It's operating at 262 kilohertz. It's a MP20 caliber movement, and it's accurate to, I think they say 5 seconds a month, but I've heard that it can get a lot better than that. It's absolutely phenomenal for this price point. So let's take a little look at the features of this watch. Obviously we've got the normal seconds ticking over here on the 6 o'clock subdial, and they align really nicely with all the indices. And we've got the chronograph function, which we can see the seconds elapsing here, and that will play for the first 30 seconds as is, and then that will stop, but the main second hand will carry on, and then the minutes obviously are recorded over here, as you would expect. Everything's very smooth. I quite like this little subdial here, handy for the Apollo 15 commander if he's doing very precise short bursts for his main engines and things like that. Not so useful for us, but quite a novel little idea. So then obviously we press that again and it stops. If we press this bottom button here, as you would imagine on most chronographs, it would do the lap time, but it doesn't. It actually resets it on this watch, which is fine, as the lap time just gets in the way as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, so that's pretty cool. Let's have a little look at the watch itself. So we can see this lovely sort of subdued brushing, really nice, with this quite unique little collar here, and then obviously that's accentuated with the little 1 millimeter or so of sapphire crystal that's just popping up there. Looks fabulous. Obviously the buttons are more polished, and they contrast nicely with this sort of satiny finish on the rest of the watch. We do have a signed crown. As you look at the strap, that's slightly more shiny than the subdued case, but it's really nice quality. We come round to the clasp. It's a butterfly clasp. Comes together really nicely. A few scratches. This is my friend's watch, so I've just borrowed it off him, but he does wear it, so you're getting a real view here of what these watches look like after they've been worn for a while. But it's in fabulous condition. As you can see, it's got applied indices, which are great at this price point. The lume is excellent. As you can see, the lume is going to be on all points and both hands. The brushing is really nice, and if we take a look at the back, it is the homage to Apollo 15 with the relevant details on there, if you can see that, where they landed, longitude and latitude, the dates, etc. So that's a great little homage to those guys. So moving on to the pros and cons. Let's start with the pros. I think it's quite a unique design, as you can see, especially these buttons. You don't really see that on many other watches. And this collar, as I mentioned earlier, with the protruding crystal is really, really lovely. It's got a good quality clasp, really nice quality clasp. If you was looking at a Seiko at 600 British pounds, which I will be doing a review on my Seiko that I've got for that sort of price point, it's got a stamped clasp on it, as we're all too familiar with. It's got the history going for it. I mean, that's what's going to attract most people to this watch, and it's incredibly accurate. It's got this fabulous quartz movement, which is absolutely great. As far as cons, quite big. It's quite big. I'll show you a wrist shot in a moment. It's flattish. I know it's 13.5 millimeters, but that's because of this raised part here. It's got sort of a unique two-part design to it, I think. So it's got this lovely flat sort of body, if you like, but not the drawback, but the thing to consider is that it makes it quite wide because it's quite flat. It looks quite wide. So I've got a 7.5-inch wrist. Let's just see how it fits on now. And the other downside I was going to say is it's the 50-meter water resistance, but it's not really a downside. It's more of an observation. Okay, guys, so there it is on my 7.5-inch wrist. I think it sits pretty well. Doesn't stick up too proud. It's very well balanced. Luckily my friend's got a similar sort of size wrist to me. You know, the strap is lovely quality. Overall I think it's fabulous. Now just compare the size of this to my SKX just to give you an idea. Right, so there's the SKX, guys. Obviously it's a smaller watch, but it's a different style watch. But a lot of people out there with it will have an SKX. So as you can see, it looks a hell of a lot bigger. But, you know, it doesn't look too big on the wrist. So I just want to give you a good idea. It is a bigger watch though. So that's the only downside. If you've got small wrists, you might want to think about this a bit longer than the rest of us. But, you know, for a 7.5-inch wrist, as you saw, I think it looks absolutely great. Okay guys, well I hope you've really enjoyed that. Leave some comments below. Please like the video, it really helped me out, and subscribe. And I'll see you on the next one. Winkle out.